Shares of Allergan rose Thursday on merger speculation. Do you buy it now? Take some profits? Let's find out from Mark Dawson, Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager at Rainier Investment Management. Allergan, one of your top large cap equity holdings. So great to have you in today.
Great, nice to be here.
So I know we train investors to think for the long term, but as somebody who's got this in your portfolio, what are you thinking about doing with it today?
We're hanging on. You know, we don't have a lot of definitive information. Clearly, they decided to disclose that they were in discussions. It is early. It's not even 100% clear to me who might buy whom, right? Initially, it appears certainly that Pfizer is going to buy Allergan, but a key part of this, of a combination, would be the tax status of the company, with Allergan being domiciled in Ireland, having the lower tax rate. So I think that's going to be an important part about whether this deal goes through or not. We are hanging on to our shares for the time being, and I think the stock is worth more on our research analysis basis. I would think maybe as much as $350, $360 in an acquisition. But there's a lot we don't know, and our holding goes way back to when it was Actavis before it switched to Allergan. And both of these companies have an appetite for deals, both to make acquisitions and also to divest assets that they don't see as strong a long-term future for. But we're hanging on for now.
Regardless of what happens in this particular story, are we now going to see a new round of very intense merger activity in healthcare? Because the size they're talking about, if Allergan and Pfizer actually do come together, is huge. So does that mean there's got to be more activity?
You know, we looked around today to see what else was up in sympathy, and it doesn't seem like a lot of other targets are at least immediately strong candidates. But over a multi-year basis, the drug industry is consolidating. And so I would say we expect more deals going forward. No drug company in the world has more than, I think, a total share of 11 or 12%. I think it's Novartis of the drug market. In other industries, we have consolidation of certainly 15, 20, 25, even 30%. So there is certainly room for more consolidation. It's a very fat industry in terms of costs, and we've seen costs being cut for a long period of time. So we do expect more consolidation. I don't have another obvious target for you. If I had to think about what are good candidates, it would be for promising, proven biotech products that can be acquired by larger companies such as Pfizer, such as Bristol Myers, such as Merck, or even conceivably Johnson & Johnson.
So we have this merger story in healthcare. We also have this political campaign that's going on where pharmaceuticals have been targeted a little bit for pricing. So is there risk in the sector, and is that balanced by the potential opportunity here?
Yeah. Well, for us, it's balanced in favor of investing in the stock in the case of Allergan, but I do think, and we think, it is time for some caution due to political risk. This sector, which, as we all know, is a very large component of the U.S. economy at about 17%, is not without political risk, particularly when we enter an election year cycle. We have heard very specific comments, not surprisingly, from the Democrats about drug companies being overly aggressive in price increases. But interestingly enough, there are even a handful of Republican candidates that are jumping on this as well. One that I can cite specifically that talked about drug prices being too high, at least for some companies, is Marco Rubio. So it's not something that's confined to one party. It's certainly more associated with the Democrats. And we know what happened in 2009, a year when Obamacare and the uncertainties around Obamacare hung over the healthcare sector and held those stocks back. Also, that was an economic recovery year. So after being a strong sector in 2008, it was hit by political risk in 2009. I would say, on balance, our holdings in healthcare have come down modestly in recent months because we do have elevated concerns about the coming year and the rhetoric around drug pricing and other healthcare policies in the U.S.
Well, it's been fascinating hearing your take on healthcare, especially today. Mark Dawson, thanks so much.
Thank you.
I'm Rhonda Schaffler for The Street.